You see, is that if you have a lot of trauma, you die much earlier because your body keeps reacting as if you're in danger, even if objectively you're not in danger. Learning to make your body feel safe is the greatest challenge in treating trauma. Telling the story is one thing, being able to accept the story is another thing, being able to deal with the shame about the story is another thing, but at the end, the most important thing is that your body knows how to feel safe. My name is Bessel van der Kolk. I'm a psychiatrist, neuroscientist, and author of the book The Body Keeps the Score.
So can you share some insight on just like the ability to recognize trauma for what it is for us and maybe others?
How do you recognize trauma? Inflexibility. Being unable to think about other things, being unable to have different responses, being unable to take your turn, being unable to hold back, and then being able to manage this creature inside of you. Overcoming trauma means overcoming your habitual responses. And so one of the toughest things in terms of no longer being traumatized is to really become familiar what it's like to be quiet and get the sense of pleasure in the subtle things of life. And when you grow up in the middle of trauma, you are constantly bombarded with stuff, and you get a brain that is there to get bombarded. So your whole brain is geared towards fighting and messing with people and to be dominant, because that's when you feel at home and you feel like real. And when you get to be open and gentle, you may feel, I'm no longer here. So to really create new habits of presence is a very great challenge.
You know, when you're first becoming aware of yourself, and you might begin to understand that you've experienced something that would be called trauma. This is how it was for me as a person who experienced a tremendous amount of trauma in my early childhood. It wasn't until I got to a point where I was really, really working on what I experienced that everything around me was telling me was normal, that I realized, oh, it's not just me who was traumatized. It's that my parents were traumatized people. My family culture was a violent, traumatic family culture. I lived in a way that we had to pretend those bad things weren't happening, that you have a different way of being and a different way of responding to it because you're taking care of yourself differently, or you know yourself a little differently than you did before. That's when you can recognize trauma in a way that you don't have to step in front of the train when it's coming your way.
Talking about the trauma and revealing the trauma is important, but being able to disengage from the talk and starting to move starts to impact your nervous system sometime with these very simple movements that you can do in a minute, 2 minutes, to calm the nervous system. So when somebody starts to get aggravated, when somebody starts to get, that you're able to engage with some of these very simple practices that are a combination of simple movement and breathing that can calm the nervous system and calm the nervous system pretty quickly.
We linked up with the yoga people because yoga is such an age-old and well-proven way of calming your body down and helping you to take care of your body.
I think particularly our approach to yoga is, it's somewhat traditional, but it's also, because it's trauma-informed, we're never pushing anybody beyond where they are. That you are in control of your body. It doesn't, and we, as the facilitator, are responsible for making sure that you know you're the one who's in control of your body. And so you have a choice as to what you want to do in any given moment.
Let's say I'm sitting next to James. I know James a little bit. He has a very calming presence of me. So when I sit next to him, my body becomes calm also. But if you would get upset, I say, my natural response is to mirror him and become upset also. And part of the overcoming the trauma response is to not automatically engage a mirror neuron system, so that when somebody becomes angry and threatening over there, to not become angry and threatening in return, but to say, interesting, this guy's really pissed off. I wonder how I can sort of manage the situation so to calm things down. But their natural response is to escalate.
And we also know in prisons internationally is a lack of safety, predictability, and control. So that can aggravate some trauma symptoms. So that's why it's so important to include the body-based practices as regular as you ever can to actually reconnect with those sensations. And at the end of the day, when we do the body work, we also get to relax with each other together, right? So that creates a new possibility for relationships in a safe environment.
That was the first thing that struck me when I came here for the first time. There's an observation deck, as every prison has, and I was standing there and looking at the courtyard, and what I saw was people walking together, leaning into each other. And I thought, wow, that's not your typical prison population, because in most prisons, people are scared of each other, and they're little tents walking together. But what I saw, and I see it again this afternoon, of people really letting their bodies be with other bodies and getting a comfort from each other. I was very impressed with that.